So as of recording, we still have some championship games that are going on this weekend. Let's jump into them. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel and to our weekly championship predictions. Now, we've already had several games called off so far this weekend. Fingers crossed, we still have all the games that we're going to talk about in today's video going ahead. And as always, make sure to get yourselves in the comments down below and leave your predictions. Before we jump into anything though, a big thank you to Skybet EFL Rewards for going ahead and sponsoring today's video. So a big thank you to Skybet EFL Rewards for going ahead and sponsoring today's prediction video. If you've not already, make sure to go ahead and download the app. Skybet EFL Rewards, link in the description down below. You can check in on match days, earn achievements and be rewarded for just supporting your club. During December they have a whole host of prizes to be won, things like the cost of a season ticket, FN22 codes, Puma, EFL match balls and more. And all you have to do is download the app and play the predictor game where you go over the fixtures and select win or draw, and if you top the weekly leaderboard or place within the top 5, you'll be in the running for some really cool prizes. So remember to click the link in the description down below and get yourself involved. It's free after all, so there's no reason not to. But without any further ado, let's jump into my predictions. So starting out with tonight's game, which fingers crossed is going to go ahead, we're heading to Oakwell for Barnsley up against West Brom. Valor and Ishmael heading back to Oakwell in this one. I think that not just this week, but over the next few weeks, it's going to be quite difficult to make these predictions really, because even when games aren't getting called off, we're still expecting, you know, some players to be missing from sides who we're not going to know about until the game day actually rolls around. So yeah, it's quite tricky to do these predictions in advance for all of us at the moment. The sort of message that the EFL has put out is that if a team has 14 fit players and a goalkeeper, then they will have to go ahead and fulfill the fixture. So yeah, we could have quite a turbulent few weeks in the championship. But in terms of this game itself, I think that West Brom obviously come into it as the obvious favourites. Barnsley have had an ever so slight top in their form since their new managers come in. When they came to Deepdale at the weekend, it was a bit of a strange performance really, because they did have a little bit about them going forward. You know, Coley Woodrow got that goal and they had a couple of other moments in our half as well, but ultimately that weak underbelly defensively showed once again. I think that West Brom will be able to take advantage of that. It's an interesting one as well, because West Brom currently just 3 points behind Bournemouth. They played before both Fulham and Bournemouth do this weekend as well, so have the opportunity to close that gap from the off, and I think that West Brom probably do it in this game. By no means have West Brom been the most clinical side recently, but generally with the amount of chances they're creating at the moment, I think they had 25 shots against Reading. Even with their poor conversion rate this season, I can still see them getting a couple goals in this game. They've also got the best defensive record in the league to boost themselves as well. So for a score prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 West Brom in this game, with FIFA going for a 1-1 draw. Next up then, we head to the Riverside for Middlesbrough up against Bournemouth as the early kickoff. We were supposed to be having two 12:30 matches in the Championship this weekend, but obviously Cardiff against Derby has since been called off, so we're just left with this one, but should be a good game regardless. Middlesbrough obviously, bit of a drab game last time out against Stoke, but I am expecting a little bit more goal-mouth action in this one against the Bournemouth side, who have been faltering recently. I really thought that game at the weekend against Blackburn was going to be Bournemouth's opportunity to bounce back. You know, I thought it was quite the positive performance against Fulham. Really good engaging game of football in that one, but they followed it up with quite a slump in that Blackburn game. Now, I have no fears for Bournemouth in terms of their defensive record improving quite soon actually. Lloyd Kelly we saw come off the bench in that Blackburn game, so he's getting his fitness back up. Jun Zamora, I don't think he's all too far away from being fit either, but the only issue that we maybe potentially see with Bournemouth is some of their goals drying up in the final third, because their underlying numbers for goals so far this season haven't been sparkling. I think they're 7th at the moment in the XG table, which obviously shows they've got clinical strikers. You know, Dom Solanke's been fantastic when given those opportunities, but it also shows that they're not consistently creating high quality chances like a few of the other clubs we're seeing in and around the top of the Championship. And we have seen Bournemouth, even on that unbeaten run that they went on, you know, draw a couple of blanks against, you know, well-organised defences. You know, they failed to score against, I think it was Hull and Peterborough, wasn't it, when they were on that good unbeaten run. And Middlesbrough away could potentially be a tricky game. Chris Wilder's got them really well drilled at the moment, a couple of clean sheets for Middlesbrough recently, and I mean, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Bournemouth bounce back sooner rather than later, because I think they have the quality in their squad to go ahead and do that. But just for the sake of it and to spice up the table a little bit, I'll go for a 2-1 Middlesbrough home win in this one. Thief has gone 1-0 Bournemouth. That one could really go either way. After that, we then head to Blackburn up against Birmingham. Really interesting game for Blackburn, this one as well, because like we were previously mentioning with Bournemouth, I thought that Blackburn's game at the weekend could have been the one where sort of like the bubble finally burst for them, but absolutely perfect away performance, clean sheet on the road, a couple of really nice goals in that one as well, and suddenly you look at their next few fixtures for Blackburn, and they all look fairly winnable for the current, you know, situation that they find themselves in at the moment. They're also going up against the Birmingham side in this one, who have been a little bit hit and miss recently. They were really poor on their last away day to Millwall. I thought that in midfield especially, they got really overrun for that game. First half against Cardiff looked a lot better from them, albeit they then went ahead and threw in the second half. I think that defensively, yeah, they have looked a little bit shabby recently. I think that's now 5 goals, isn't it, conceded in their last couple of matches. So Blackburn's front three, I think, will be licking their lips for this one, albeit Birmingham are that sort of side that can throw up an upset every now and again. But I think I am going to back Blackburn for this one. I'm going to go 3-1 Blackburn in this game, and for Rovers to continue their attacking streak, with FIFA going 2-0 Blackburn. Next up then we go to Bloomfield Road. It's Blackpool going up against Peterborough. An absolutely massive game in Peterborough's season, and we could end up getting a situation that was sort of similar to last season down in the relegation zone, where like a couple of teams just have loads of games in hand because of like COVID and games being suspended and things like that. Last season we had Rotherham with an absolute abundance of games to catch up on towards the end of the season, and with a lot of the other sides not playing this weekend down at the bottom, this could be a real opportunity for Peterborough here to properly make some ground up on the teams above them. Last weekend was a really good performance from them, and they were coming off the back of a really torrid run, but they turned it around against Millwall. Could have had more than the 2 goals they got in that game as well. I thought they created some really good opportunities. Clark Harris coming on in the second half certainly had the impact that was intended, but that will all be for nothing if they go ahead and don't show up for this game here against a very out of form Blackpool side. If we look at the form table at the moment, Blackpool have had quite the slide off recently, which I think we all expected them to, but maybe not to this degree. It's been scoring goals, which has really been Blackpool's issue recently. They failed to score now in their last 4 matches, in which, I mean, particularly in that Derby game last time, they looked particularly blunt going forward. So this is a real opportunity here for both sides, because, I mean, we can look at it from a few angles really. Peterborough's away record has been absolutely tragic so far this season. 11 games, 10 losses on the road, obviously. Just that 1 win that they got away at Hull. If they're ever going to get another win on the road, you feel like it could be this weekend. With the way Blackpool are playing at the moment, Peterborough do create chances, but they've just had such a weak underbelly away from home so far this season that it's hard to back them. A draw in this game seems the most likely outcome, but I'm going to put my neck on the line and say that Peterborough are going to start to get some consistency and make it 2 wins on the bounce. I'm going to back a Peterborough away win. I may be going mental. I'm going to go 1-0 Posh on the road, with FIFA going 1-0 Blackpool. Next then we head to Ashton Gate for Bristol City up against Huddersfield. Interesting game this one. Bristol City started on a decent unbeaten run at Ashton Gate, something that we couldn't say at the start of this season, but unbeaten in their last 4 games there, won their last couple. Last time out was quite a dramatic 2-2 draw with Hull City. Once again, not the best performance, but still got a point from it. Obviously, Matty James rescuing a point from them late on with that nice strike. Up against the Huddersfield side, who on the whole have struggled away from home so far this season. Even last time out at home, I didn't think that Huddersfield were particularly great. Obviously, they got themselves into that leading position against Coventry, and then very much looked to sort of sit on that and hold it, but a Coventry late goal got them back into it. So another game which I can see being a fairly tight sort of first goal wins this sort of affair. And I think I'm just edging it in the way of Bristol City. They've won their last couple of home matches by a 1-goal margin, and unless there's any sort of late drama in this one, which I wouldn't rule out in the Bristol City or Huddersfield match, I think I'm just going to edge this one ever so slightly to Bristol City for a 1-0 home win. FIFA's gone for a 1-1 draw, but once again, this sort of game can very much be affected by if any players pick up any late knocks or are missing because of COVID or anything like that. But yeah, I'll just edge Bristol City for a 1-0 home win in that one. Next up, and to the City ground, we've got Nottingham Forest going up against Hull. Two sides on decent unbeaten runs at the moment. Hull obviously had that draw against Bristol City last time out. A little bit unfortunate maybe not to go on and win that game, with Bristol City scoring late on, albeit I do think that Hull's run of fixtures gets considerably harder from this week onwards compared to what it has been recently, obviously. Fair play to Hull though, they took advantage of this decent run of fixtures they've had recently and have put a bit of breathing space between themselves and the bottom three. But yeah, looking at their next 3 matches now against Nottingham Forest, Blackburn and Sheffield United, 3 really quite tricky matches. If they come through, all 3 of those matches with a decent point return, fair play to them, and the upturn has been absolutely massive for them recently. I do think this will be a tough game for them though. Nottingham Forest, really impressive last time out, put 4 goals past Swansea obviously. Swansea didn't help themselves by how they gave away some of those goals, but Brennan Johnson I thought was absolutely fantastic in that game, goal and an assist for him. Generally their record at the City ground so far under Steve Cooper has been really strong so far as well. So for a prediction, I think it is Forest that I'm going to back for this one. I'm going to go 2-0 Forest, and for them to put an end to Hull's 6-game unbeaten run, and FIFA is going to agree with me for that one. Then finishing today's video off with Monday night's game, we got Fulham going up against Sheffield United at Craven Cottage. This one is quite the interesting game. Monday feels like absolutely ages away, so if this game ends up getting called off, I wouldn't be surprised because it's so far away, but has the potential to be a really decent game of football, this one, I think. Obviously, Fulham themselves having a bit of a slump at the moment with their successive run of draws. 1-1 against Luton last time out. Once again, not the best showing from Fulham. I really thought that would be the game where they, properly click back up into gear after a good performance against Bournemouth, but a little bit sluggish in the second half of that one. And going up against the Sheffield United side, who, to be fair to them, and since Paul Heckingbottom has come in, have looked a lot better, especially in the final third. They've scored 6 goals in their last 3 matches, obviously. Sheffield United not involved in last weekend's round of games due to their game against QPR being postponed. So a bit more time that Paul Heckingbottom's got there potentially on the training ground to work with them and carry on progressing as they're currently going at the moment. I think there could be quite a few goals scored in this one. I think it'll only be a matter of time before Fulham properly do, click back up into gear and they go on like a, 5 or 6 game winning streak. But I think Sheffield United could throw another spanner in the works, and it may be another successive draw on Monday night for Fulham. I'm going to go for an entertaining 2-2 draw in that one, with FIFA going for a 1-1 draw. But guys, there we have it. Those are my score predictions for this weekend's round of fixtures, obviously. Hopefully by the time you guys are watching this, more of these games haven't been called off, but it wouldn't surprise me with the way things are going at the moment. But hopefully we've at least got some championship games and championship action going on this weekend. So all the games that are going on, make sure to get your score predictions in the comments down below. If you did go in to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do stick around and subscribe for some regular championship content. Apart from that, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.